Air transportation in Minecraft kind of sucks. In the 1.9 update, which was 10 years ago, Mojang added the elytra to the game, but since then there haven't really been any other additions which make it easier to travel through the air. I want to fix that by making a mod that adds gliders to the game. But there's just one big problem. I have no idea how to make a Minecraft mod. So here's what I'm going to do to make the mod. First, I'm going to add the glider items to the game and make it so that when you're holding the spacebar while holding the item, you actually glide through the air. Then I'm going to make the textures and the models for all the items and have it so that they render above the player's head in game. And then finally, I'm going to work on the little details like sounds and animations. I don't think all of this should be too hard to add because it's basically just one item, but I honestly have no idea, so we'll see how it turns out. But first I need to choose the mod loader which I'm going to be making my mod for. There's 4 main mod loaders, which are Fabric, Forge, Neoforge, and Quilt. They all seem to have their own advantages, except maybe Quilt, but I decided to go with Fabric because it seems like it's the best for making really simple vanilla plus mods. I honestly have no idea though if this is going to be the right decision. So right now I'm just following along with this tutorial from this actual legend, Calpinjo, and I'm also following along with the official Fabric documentation. Thankfully I know how to code in Java, because this would be a lot harder to understand if I didn't. Alright, so now I'm just going to run the game for the first time and see if my item actually got added. Holy crap, it's so loud. So let's see. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, I just added a texture and a name for the item, so it should actually work this time. So now I want to make it so that when you hold the jump key, you actually glide down, because right now, it's not working at all. First try, let's see if it works. Okay, I think I found what the problem was, so let's see if it works this time. I wrote this short, simple method which basically just controls the glider movement. Alright, now it should actually work. But there's a bit of a problem because the glider movement in game looks really jittery and laggy. So now is probably a good time to quickly go into the sides concept in Minecraft. So Minecraft follows a client-server model, and there's both a physical side and a logical side for the client and the server. The physical client is what actually runs when you hit play and start up Minecraft, and the physical server is the actual program that runs when you start up a server. On the other hand, the logical components have to do with the actual code of Minecraft. So the logical client is responsible for doing things like rendering and tracking player input. The logical server is where all of the game logic runs and does things like updating mobs' positions. When you're making a mod, you have to be really careful about what pieces of code you're putting on each side, the client side or the server side, because if you, for example, try to keep track of player input on the server side, then things could just completely break. So how does this relate to my mod? Player movement is kind of special in that it has to be updated both on the client and server side, and currently I'm only updating it on the client side, which is why it's looking so jittery in game. Now I changed the code so that the client sends a packet to the server when the player is gliding, so that they can both be updated at the same time. So if I press space midair, then there's this really smooth gliding movement, and also it increases in speed as you go down, which makes it feel really nice and similar to the elytra. So then at this point I decided that I should probably test the code on a dedicated multiplayer server, because at this point I've only been testing it on a single player world. So I tried getting on a server and picking up the item, and guess what? That meant that I had to redo most of the code. Basically the problem was that I was doing things on the server that are only supposed to be done on the client. And it's kind of dumb that I made this mistake, considering that it's pretty much plastered all over the wiki, but yeah, I did it anyway. It seems like it's a really common beginner mistake. And now after working on it for a few hours, I finally got the mod working on the dedicated server. So you can see it's gliding around smoothly and working, and... Alright, there we go. Bro, why is there a phantom army? I've been in this world for like 1 day. Alright, so now that we're done with adding the glider item and getting it working both on a single player world and the multiplayer server, it's time to move on to making the actual glider model, rendering it, and rendering the player's arms so it looks like they're holding the model. I decided to start with working on making the player's arms go up while they're holding a glider. But the problem is that this is controlled by Minecraft's source code, which you cannot edit. So the workaround is to use something called a mix-in, and it's really complicated, but basically it just allows you to indirectly edit and add your own code into the Minecraft source code. I feel like that made absolutely no sense, but whatever, I'm just keeping it in. So using a mix-in, I was able to make it so that when the player is using the glider, their arms go up in the air. But you can see I'm using this like super scuffed setup to see how the player models update on two different clients. And the problem is that on your own client, your own player model is changing correctly. But on another client who sees your player, the player model isn't changing at all. So I needed to find a way to send data from my client to another client to tell that client.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So I needed to find a way to send data from my client to all nearby players so that on their clients they can see that my player model is actually gliding and holding his arms up in the air. And this was a massive issue that really took me like 3 days to debug and figure out. But then when it actually finally worked, like I swear I've never been so happy just to see my Minecraft character put his arms up in the air. Oh my god, it finally works. So now with the player model synchronized, it's time to work on making the actual glider model. But first I had to quickly change the glider texture because I'm super indecisive and I wanted to change it. I think that looks a lot better than the old texture. Okay, so now I'm in Blockbench making the model, or starting to make the model, and yeah, I'm just using this picture from Pal World as a reference image. This is what the model looks like right now, and this is before adding any texture for it. Okay, now I think I'm done with texturing, so I just have to see what the model looks like in game now. So I really like how it looks in first person and how it has the glider rendered on the top of the screen, but yeah, for third person something definitely went really wrong. Alright, there we go, that's looking a lot better. And the cool part is that you can hold an item in your other hand and your arms will adjust accordingly. That meant that I was done with the wooden glider model, so I just had to make the other variants, which are stone, iron, gold, diamond, and netherite. And this didn't take too long. Now we're on to the last part of making the mod. I already kind of did the animations, so basically all I have left now is adding sounds and the recipes for the items. And I'm not gonna lie, this part was pretty boring and straightforward compared to the previous parts, so I didn't record much of this. So let's just go straight into a showcase of the mod. Alright, so the mod is finally done, and this is what it looks like and sounds like when you're gliding. And this is how you craft the gliders, using 3 wool of any color, 1 stick, and 4 of the material of your choice. And then of course for the netherite glider, you have to make it in the smithing table. All gliders have infinite durability, but the rarer the material you have, the longer and the faster you're able to glide for. Here's a quick side-by-side, so you can see that netherite in the bottom right corner is the fastest, and wood in the top left corner is the slowest. So yeah, I think that's it for this whole journey of me basically making a mod for the first time with no experience. I think for the thumbnail of this video, I'm going to put something that says like, it took this many hours for me to make this mod. And the answer to that is it probably took around 40 or 50 hours. I didn't really count how many hours exactly, but that's what I'm guessing because of the amount of debugging and reading through source code that I had to do. But yeah, if you got this far, thank you so much for watching the whole thing. And if you want to learn how to make a mod, then I should have linked a bunch of resources in the description, which a lot of the things that helped me are in there. So yeah, that's it for this video. And also join my Discord server if you want to stay updated with what I'm doing and vote in polls on upcoming videos. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.